everyone. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to today's Lunch Lesson Live. We are going to talk today about fear and limiting beliefs. So it's a little personal today, right? It always is a little bit scary when we talk about our own limiting beliefs. So tell me below if you are watching on the live the day of, or tell me if you're watching on the replay. I would love to know who comes here the day of and who's coming the day after. So glad you're here. Give me a little thumbs up or a wave if you're here. Thanks so much for coming. All right, so today we're going to talk about the three main fears that I think limit a lot of business owners. They are the three repeating themes that I see so much with clients and with my fellow business owners. They are just human nature of our fear and limiting beliefs. So I'm going to talk about the main three that I think are most common. And then I'm going to talk about the three ways that I think are the best way to handle fears, overcome, kind of change our mindset, change our mentality. So I'm excited. If you're here for it, just say woo, give me a little woo woo or a thumbs up. All right. So it's really good to, whenever we talk about fear and limiting beliefs, right? It's really good to think about, okay, is this limiting, right? Is it limiting? Is it holding me back? If it's just a healthy fear, right? That's okay. That's normal. But if it's holding you back from moving your business forward, that is then when we really have to think about something that, we need to change, right? Then it's really something that is affecting us. It's affecting our business. Then that's really when we need to think about changing our ways, right? Changing our mindset. So that's what we're here for. All right. So a quick shout out to everyone who voted. Thanks so much for voting in the group. Every Tuesday, I put out a poll on the different topics that we can discuss, and you can choose which one is most applicable to your business. I would love to hear what is coming up for you, what questions you have in your business. So you can always suggest in that poll, you can suggest which topics would be most helpful to you, and I would love to answer them. Or you can vote on your favorite topic. You can always reach out to me personally as well. If you have a question that you're kind of thinking about or that you would love me to kind of dive into further, I would love to know what's affecting your business and what questions you have that are coming up. So let me know. All right, so this is for go-getters. Are you a go-getter? Are you a coach who is looking to move your business forward, right? Are you ready to take action to move your business forward? So this video is for go-getters and action takers, right? If you are in business and wanting to grow, you are a go-getter and you are an action taker. But we also have to kind of really think about, okay, are we staying in that abundant mindset, right? I like to talk about abundance, especially when we're talking about fears, right? Because it is so easy to think about, yes, I'm abundant, yes, blah, blah, blah. But, right, every day is an ebb and flow, right? Every day things come up that will put us back into those fear and limiting beliefs, right? I really think that is true. So every day we have to have some tools that kind of pull ourselves out. So as you're watching this video, right, kind of try to stay in that abundant mindset. Abundance for me really means that everything is possible, right? There's room in the universe, there's room in the market for every business, and that I am able to change, right? We are all capable of change. We are all older, right? We can still learn new tricks. So definitely think about where you're at in this, right? Do you feel like there are fears that you are stuck in your set ways, right? And it's so hard to get out of them? Or maybe you don't even notice, right? You don't even notice your own thought patterns that are kind of holding you back, right? It's regular, kind of stuck in a rut, those types of patterns, right? So that's what I think abundance mindset is, kind of thinking about, is this a mindset that is moving me forward, or is this a mindset that is holding me back? Right? That's kind of, and to know that you can change, right? I think that's what abundance really is. Know that all things are possible and that you can make a change. I really think that is the key. So for today, I'm going to task you with coming up with 2 action items. As you're listening to this video, right? Really try to think about, what 2 action items can I take away from this video and apply to my business today? That's really the goal, because we want to move forward, right? You are action takers, you are go-getters. We want to make a change. So think about two things as you're listening and watching, and let me know what comes up for you. If you have some ideas, if something comes up, feel free to post below. I would love to know what's kind of coming up for you as we talk about fear and limiting beliefs that are holding us back. All right, so think about that, your two action items. All right. So if you're new here, my name is Christina. I have been in business have a different business in some form or another for the last 15 years. So it has always been a challenge to market a business, right? I think that is the challenge for all of us in the online space, right? It is challenging to be seen. So I love to talk about the bike shop, coffee shop, right? My husband and I back in 2014 started a little bike shop, coffee shop. And that is really where I feel like I learned marketing. I feel like I got my marketing degree, right? Because I had to learn by fire. So often when we are faced with challenges, right, you have to figure it out. So very quickly at the bike shop, coffee shop, right, I needed customers coming into the door. So I really quickly found, okay, I've got to put myself out there. I need customers coming into this store. I need physical bodies. So I really had to go where my customers were, right, and get them to come in. I really had to figure this out quickly. I needed people coming into the door. So I really felt like we got creative, right, at the bike shop, and I learned so many lessons. And one of the biggest lessons, I think, if any of you have, right, unfortunately had to close a business, it's heart-wrenching, right? And it is a really giant challenge in life. And I really think that plays a huge role in all of my fears, right? From that moment forward, every single business, every single idea, I think about, will this fail also, right? So if any of you have ever closed a business, right, I would love to hear what your thoughts are on that. But that is a giant, I think, hurdle to overcome, is to just letting go of that fear, right? And maybe not letting it go because it'll always probably be there, but recognizing it when it pops up, right? And recognizing that just because the bike shop failed doesn't mean every single business is going to fail, right? Every single decision isn't going to fail. And that really wasn't a failure, right? I really don't think the bike shop was a failure. Yes, we closed our business and that business is no longer, right? But I learned so much. And it was such a blessing to have it and then to close it. We're so happy that it is closed now, but what a giant challenge, right? And what a journey that has taken us on. And me personally, right, I have turned that into my passion. So I love that the bike shop taught me that lesson. I love that I learned what it was like to be a small business owner. I learned how to communicate with other small business owners and what the challenges are for everyone, right? I really think that we can all rise together, right? That's my big goal, is that we can learn from each other, right? If we all kind of rally, we can share resources, share knowledge, and build our businesses together. So I really, after closing the bike shop, I turned that into my passion, right? I'm so passionate about not letting another woman business owner have to close her doors, because I really think there's room in the market, right? There's space for all of us. And with the right knowledge and access to the tools that we need, we can all be successful. That's what I'm here for. So let me know if you agree, right? Let me know if you think that's true and what you've learned in your business. I would love to hear that below. All right. So you are here for fear and limiting beliefs. That is what we are talking about today. So I'm going to talk about the three main fears that crop up. And what I really just want to say, right, is that I think as women business owners, there are so many additional fears that I think we deal with that maybe a lot of other people, maybe the men don't deal with, right? I think society tells us that this is not the norm. Society tells us that, right, maybe we can't do this and that we're the minority. So good luck, right? So I feel like without even getting started, we already have that mindset that, okay, this might not work. I might be out of my comfort zone, right? Clearly, I might be out of my depth here. So I think that is obviously a baseline fear that all of us, I think, deal with. So definitely be aware and give yourself some grace with that, right? Just by being a women business owner, you are putting yourself out there, right? And you are stepping out of the norm, right? but it doesn't mean that it is going to fail. It doesn't mean that you are not capable, right? It does not mean that it doesn't mean it's going to be easy, right? But it doesn't mean it's going to be hard either. It doesn't have to be hard, right? So just, right, being aware that that is stacked up against us already from society alone. So with that, right, I think the number one fear that I see coming up, and I know is true for myself, is self-sabotage, right? Tell me below if you feel like this pops up for you, right? Whenever you are trying something new, I feel like there are always thoughts that come in that are wanting to keep us playing small, right? Wanting to keep us playing safe. Every time we have to step out of the comfort zone, it is a challenge and it's scary, right? Anytime things are scary, we're going to try to talk ourselves out of it, right? So I think that is very normal for us to compare ourselves to others, right? Especially on social media, right? We're all here wanting to promote our businesses and, connect with other people. But with that comes some comparison, right? So tell me if comparison is something that you struggle with, right? I think all humans really struggle with that, because online we can see very plainly, especially with ads, right? We see people who are spending way more money on ads than us, and we think, gosh, if she's doing it, I'm clearly not doing it enough, right? I'm not doing enough. Or she's so successful, right? And she's doing this and I'm not doing it that way. Am I even in the right space? Am I even worth doing, right? Am I even worth doing this? Is this worth doing? So those are, right, some very normal behaviors, right? Let me know if any of that rings true for you. I hate the word imposter syndrome because I hate that women mostly have come up with this term of making ourselves feel less than, right? And I get it, because we often feel like we don't belong. We feel like we are way out of our depth. We feel like we are pushing ourselves and putting ourselves out there, and maybe we shouldn't, right? That's really the question. But I hate that we've come up with this term that, okay, now maybe it's helpful to define something, right? Then we can really rise above it. But I just hate that we have to have a term, right, to begin with. I hate that we have to have it out there. I wish that it was so much easier for us to, and I don't think the men are doing this as much, right? I don't think the men often, as much as women, feel that they are out of their comfort zone, because I think the society is set up to tell them they can do anything, right? Granted, I am lucky enough to have a mom who has told me I can do anything my whole life, right? So I do think it's possible, of course, and that's ingrained in me. But I think that society tells us that being a woman is not someone who opens a business, is not someone who is successful, right? I don't think society is set up for that. But it doesn't mean it's not possible, right? It doesn't mean that it can't be done, obviously. That's why we're all here. So what I think the biggest thing to overcome imposter syndrome, self-sabotage, doubt, anytime you're trying something new, is to just recognize it, right? As it pops up, just to recognize and ask yourself, is this even true? Whatever you're telling yourself, right? Whatever you're telling yourself, is this even true? Because often fear is a made up story, right? I heard this great quote that fear is a made up story that we tell ourselves, and worry is something that hasn't happened, right? It hasn't even happened yet. We are worrying, we are self-sabotaging, we are thinking about things that have not even happened and are probably not even true. Right? So whenever you feel those feelings or feel those thoughts coming up that are comparing yourself to others and making you question everything that you're doing, maybe just recognize that that's what's happening, right? Even just being aware is the first step. But also asking yourself, is that even true, right? Is this going to be a failure? Is this not going to happen? Is this, does this have to be hard? Like, all of those things I think are good questions to ask. So I think that's number one, right? Imposter syndrome is so challenging, and I really think it pops up a lot. So I would love to know, right, if this sounds true for any of you. All right. So ask yourself if this is even true, right? Because fear often is not true. It's just a made up story that we tell ourselves. All right. So number two, I think this is a big one, right? Fear of money and investing. So often when we are in business, right, we are so afraid of making money, spending money, investing money. We're afraid, right? And I think money is such a hard term, right? I know that I struggle with this, obviously, because the bike shop closed, right? This is a really personal journey for me, right? Everyone, I think, has a personal journey with money, and it's hard. It's hard because, again, I don't think society is set up to tell us that money is easy, money flows, right? Tell me if you heard growing up that, oh, money doesn't grow on trees, right? You have to work for every penny you make. You should be saving half of everything you ever own, right? Has anyone heard that? As well as money in movies, right? I think movies and television tell us a lot about someone who's rich usually has to learn a lesson or is usually not the nice person, or right, there's always some story. Every story that's out there is usually about some rich person who has to figure things out, right? Who has to learn how to be nicer, learn how to be compassionate, something to that effect, right? So I feel like all of those messages we hear, and it makes us worry about money, right? It makes us have this lack mentality. So any fear of money, if you are worried about spending money, right? If you're worried about investing in your business because you're not sure if it's going to work, I really think that is your fear that is keeping you small. And we call that a lack mentality, right? That you are so afraid that if you spend money, you're not going to get it back. What if that's not true, right? And it's not true because it hasn't happened, right? So really that is your fear creeping up saying, oh my God, this is way too scary. We haven't done this before. We haven't spent this amount of money. We haven't done this before, right? This is way too scary. So it is your fear just creeping up, wanting you to play small because that's safe, right? It's so much safer to do what you've always done, charge the same prices you've always charged, not invest in your business, not step out of your comfort zone, right? All of those things are keeping you small, wanting to keep you small because it's so much safer to do what you've always done, right? But if you want to grow, right? If you want to grow and move your business forward, you have to take yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit, right? You have to be able to push your boundaries and realize that it's going to take a little bit of a riskier move, right? It's going to take a little bit of getting out of your comfort zone in order to grow, right? That can be really, really scary. But that is what's on the other side of that. And I can tell you, every time I have invested in my business, every time I have taken a leap of faith that is far scarier than I thought it should be, my business has blown up, right? I've become way more successful by stepping out of my comfort zone and taking a little bit of a risk. It's scary, right? It's scary for all of us. It's scary to put ourselves out there on social media. It's scary to try something new, right? But every time you do, I really think that you are you can grow, you can make more money, you can move your business forward, you can do so many things that you receive in return for putting yourself out there and taking that risk. I really think that's true. So if you have a fear of either spending money or a fear that there's not going to be enough money, just recognizing that that is a lack mentality, right? That is thinking that there is not enough for all of us. There's not enough in the universe, right? And that is just not true. I think there's so much money to be made in the universe, right? Look at all the people making money. And why not you? Why? This is your time. This is the summer for women. I'm claiming it. So we can all be successful and we rise together, right? We just have to recognize our own fears and be able to have different tools that can take us out of those thought patterns, right? Because it's going to be hard, right? Because we've had those same thought patterns for our whole life probably, right? So it's going to take some time to change the way we're thinking, especially when it comes to business, especially when it comes to money. So give yourself time and grace, right? I think that is really important. But I really think the biggest thing when it comes to fear of money is that it's your fear keeping you small, and you don't want to play small, right? You're a go-getter, coach, action taker. Like, this is not the time to be playing small. This is the time you want your business to blow up. You want to be huge. You want to make money. You want to, and even if you don't want to be huge, right? It is okay to ask for what you want, right? We all want to be taken care of. We all want to give more. And I really think that hands in the money in the hands of people that want to do good in this world is so important, right? Putting money in the hands of the right people is what is going to make this world better, right? That's what's going to move our businesses and our world further, right? That is what is going to help us all become better and rise together, right? I really think by giving ourselves more resources, so many more good things can be done with more resources, right? Yes, we can be well taken care of. And yes, we can do more good in the world. That is important, right? And it's okay. It's okay to ask for that and want that for the world and for yourself. It is not greedy to want money, right? It is not greedy to want to help the world and take care of your family. That's not greedy, right? It is not greedy to want to live in luxury as long as you are, wanting to do good and help the world. And so many more things can be done to a well-resourced woman, right? I really think that is true. Okay, so tell me what rings out for you, what jumps out for you. Have you thought about your 2 action items, right? Have anything jumped out at you that you would like to share? I'd love to hear. Okay. The last fear that I think is so prevalent for women is that we are afraid of sales, or we think that we are bad at sales, right? Tell me below, did you hear this message growing up, or do you feel like you're just, oh, I'm just someone who's bad at sales, right? My mom all my life told me, oh, I'm just not a saleswoman, right? Oh, I'm just bad at sales. But really, I think that fear is none of us want to be too salesy. Right? It's not that we're bad at sales. I think sales is a skill that we can all learn. And that's something that I teach in my course. But I don't think that everyone is bad at sales, right? I don't think women in general are bad at sales. And in fact, I think women are amazing at sales. We just need the right strategy and the right tools to be good at sales. But the fear is that we don't want to be too salesy, right? Nobody wants to be pushy. Nobody wants to be that crazy car salesman, right? That is really the fear. So if you are feeling like it's hard to put your offer out there, that it's hard to ask people for what what you offer, and if they're interested in what you offer, then really think about, is it your fear of, do you think you're bad at sales, or do you think that you are afraid of being too salesy, right? Because I guarantee you are probably not being salesy enough. Quite honestly, right? I don't think any of us are selling as much as we probably should be. Sure, there are some people who are really good at it, right? Or really forward with it, right? And we can feel that, and that is our fear, is that we don't want to be that pushy, right? And I think there is a happy medium somewhere in between that's perfect for you. There is somewhere in that being direct and offering what you offer and not being salesy, right? I think there is the perfect balance, and that's just something we have to work on. But by telling ourselves that we're bad at sales, oh, I'm just bad at sales. Well, if you're in business, right, you better get really good at sales, because there's no way you can make money if you're bad at sales, right? That is what business is for. We are all here to make money in our business, and that's okay, right? We just might need more sales skills, right? And that is what is beautiful about the abundant mindset, is that we're all capable of change, right? There is all possibilities in the universe. There is so much room for all of us, and we can learn anything. We can change anything, right? So don't think that you're bad at sales, right? Definitely, we might just need some sales skills in there for sure. So tell me, which of these 3 fears is your top, right? I would love to hear. So we talked about self-sabotage or imposter syndrome, comparison, all of those. Fear of money, or fear of spending money, or fear that there's not enough money. And then the third one is sales. Scared of putting ourselves out there, scared of being too pushy, scared of being too salesy. Which one is the most for you? I would love to hear below. All right, so now I want to talk about the 3 things that I think are the most helpful, right? We talked a little bit for each one, right? For self-sabotage, the best thing to do is ask yourself, is that even true, right? Is that thought that you're telling yourself, is that even true? And most likely it is not, right? But then the second fear, right, we talked about was really about fear of money. And just recognizing that it's the lack mentality, right? That is really, I think, just recognizing those thoughts, and that it's keeping you small, that is just fear creeping in, keeping you small. And then the third one, being too salesy, is really just recognizing that you're not bad at sales and that you can learn new skills, So those are really some ways to overcome, I think, those three fears. But overall, I really think there are three things in general that can really help. And number one is meditation, right? So tell me below if you are a meditator. I would love to hear. Over the last couple of years, I have really been working on my meditation practice because it is so valuable, right? I think at first we all think, oh my gosh, meditation must be so boring, or I'm not very good at it, or it's so hard to quiet my thoughts, or whatever, right? And what I learned is that there are so many different types of meditation, right? It doesn't mean you have to be alone with your thoughts for an hour, right? I don't think that maybe is healthy for anyone. Maybe, right? But just, I think, finding a way to quiet your mind, right? It doesn't mean you have to stop all thought patterns, but it's just a way of allowing yourself space and whatever time frame that looks like for you, right? If it's 5 minutes a day, start there, right? And just allowing yourself to be quiet within yourself and listening to your own body, listening to your own thoughts, I think is really important, right? It allows us to slow down. We are in a fast society, right? We move fast, we scroll fast. That is where the life that we're in, right? We're all in this fast society. So just slowing down and recognizing that you can listen to yourself within, right? I really think that's important. And what is so amazing about online, right, is there are so many guided meditations, right? There are so many different kinds of meditation. Whatever you feel like you want to work on, there's a meditation for that, for sure. So definitely check out YouTube, right? I really love Insight Timer, right? If anyone uses Insight Timer, I would love to hear if you're on there. But there's so many like 5-minute quick meditations just to quiet your mind and really visualize different ways of healing your body and healing your thoughts. I really think that's important. So sitting with some of those questions about fear, I think is really important, right? So with meditation, if you feel like you are comparing yourself a lot to others, if you feel like you're in this imposter syndrome cycle, definitely think about meditating, right? Because that means that there's a lot coming up for you, right? There's a lot, and probably you're stepping out of your comfort zone or you're about to, right? And that's why those fears are kind of coming up. So it can be a really valuable time to get quiet and get comfortable with yourself and really start to ask those hard questions. Is this even true, right? Are these thought patterns even true? So definitely something, tell me if meditation is something that you want to try or that you have already tried and love it. I would love to hear below. So then the second thing that I think is really helpful for overcoming fears, right, is affirmations, right? And we all have heard affirmations, and many of us like them. Many of us might think that they're cheesy, right? But what I love about affirmations is that there's a billion, right? So many in the world. So you have to find what works for you and what resonates, because different words feel different for whatever reason, right? That some are going to resonate with you and some aren't. So find ones, search for them, right? Pinterest is a great place to find a million affirmations, right? And online and YouTube, I mean, everywhere there are so many different affirmations. But I really think affirmations can help us. Once you find the ones that really make sense to you, those are the ones that you can start to circulate in your brain, right? Those are the ones that are going to help us change those thought patterns. So when you start to notice some of those old lack mentality thought patterns coming up, if you can replace it with some type of affirmation that speaks to you, that you really want, right? Even if it's hard, even if you don't think it's true at first, the more you tell yourself, right, the more it's going to become true. And by really feeling, right? We really want to feel what that affirmation feels like. I am strong. I am capable. I can do this, right? All of those things, of course. But find the affirmations that really speak to you, because I really think that's how we can change those thought patterns that keep us in those loops of comparison, those loops of lack mentality, those loops of whatever is going to hold us back from our business, right? So definitely affirmations are something that I think can really help. And then the third one is books, right? So if you're in our book club, right, tell me below. I love sharing different professional development books, right? In this group, we talk about different books that are helpful to coaches. Right now, we're reading Radical Candor, which I think is great. And it is such a good perspective, right? That's what I love about books is it really gives you a different perspective and it changes your mind into being aware of new ways, right? That's what's so beautiful. And so I guarantee if you read one book or listen to a book that is in the place where you're feeling fears and limiting beliefs coming up, that you will find some type of insight, right? There will be some way that this author has said it that really helps change your mind, right? And I think the more books that you read, the more different perspectives, the more open your mind can be. And it really helps. I really think it helps get over those fears or change those thought patterns. It really helps to really think about what keeps us stuck, right? And what keeps us held back from moving our business forward and having the life that we want. It is all possible, right? It is all possible. You are capable. You can do this. So definitely, I think books is a big thing, right? And if you have any books that have changed your life, I would love to hear below. You can always suggest them in the book club as well, but I would love to hear. I love reading or listening, right? I listen on Audible because, right, I am not a great reader. It's hard for me to focus. Tell me below if you are. But what I found is that while I'm getting ready, while I'm in the shower, while I'm doing stuff around the house, I can be listening to books, right? And it's like reading, it's my reading time. So I just love that you can listen and one, it helps me work on my listening skills, right? But two, it allows different ideas to come into your mind and allows you to have a different perspective. It just really changes. It can really change your life. It can really be powerful. So I really think books are really helpful. All right, so that is pretty much it for limiting beliefs, fear and limiting beliefs, and how to overcome them. What I think is so important for business owners is to really remember that staying stuck is far scarier, right? I say that it can be scary jumping out of your comfort zone, and it can be so scary taking a risk that you're uncomfortable with. But I really think staying stuck is far scarier because you don't have a plan, right? If you are in the same methods that are not working, right? If you are trying to move your business forward and nothing is working, or you're not seeing the results that you want to see, it's time to make a change, right? It is not about waiting and doing more of that thing. You really need to figure out some strategies that are going to move your business forward to see some results. And that's scary, right? Because it's scary to make a change, and it's scary to invest, and it's scary to step out of your comfort zone. But you are not going to grow by staying stuck, right? It is far scarier to stay stuck because if you don't have a plan to move forward, what are you going to do, right? If you don't move forward, then what? You give up on your business? No, that is not what we're here for, right? That is not what we are doing. So just recognize that staying stuck can be way scarier than moving forward. I really think, even though taking a risk and moving forward is scary too. But staying stuck is far scarier, I believe. So I offer one-on-one coaching, right? I created my Lead Accelerator Program because I love helping women business owners move their businesses forward, right? Step out of your comfort zone and really get actual results. I've developed a strategy that actually works. I spent years posting and hoping, right? If any of you have just been posting and hoping, I was there. I was there for so many years. I focused my business so much on the people I was helping that I forgot to focus on my own business growth. So I posted and hoped, right? It was ancillary, it was secondary. I didn't pay much attention to it, and it never worked, right? Quite frankly, it grew very slowly. And finally, I figured out a strategy that actually works, where I'm actually building relationships and getting people interested in my offers. And that is where I want to get you and your business, right? If you are stuck in this posting and hoping and you don't feel like you're getting actual leads to your business every single day, let's talk. Just say strategy below. I would love to reach out to you. I offer one-on-one coaching, and everyone here can have a free strategy call. I call it a social media audit or a group audit. If you already have a Facebook group and you're wanting to grow it, I would love to take a look at your group and see what could be helpful, right? I offer free strategy calls for anyone in this group. If you are interested, just say free call below. I would love to take a look at whatever you're trying to do and give some free advice. Then if you want to take the fast track and move your business forward, we can talk about working together, right? That would be then the next step. So if you are not getting 5 to 10 qualified leads to your business every single day, there's another way, right? There's a more effective way to move your business forward. So definitely say strategy below if that's something that you're interested in. And don't waste years, right? You are a go-getter coach. I know you are. And I know you could do all the free content in the world and probably figure it out, but it might take you a million years, right? You don't have that kind of time, right? You want the fast track. You want to figure this out and move your business forward now. You need clients now, and you want to start making money now. So now is the time. Don't waste years, right? You don't need to reinvent the wheel. Learn from everyone who's gone before you, right? That's what coaching is all about, is learning from others, learning from people who have made all the mistakes so that you don't have to, right? That's really the goal. So that is pretty much it for today. I think I covered everything I wanted to cover, but let me know if there is any questions that you have about fear and limiting beliefs, or if there's a fear that keeps coming up for you and you want to talk privately. Feel free to reach out to me. I would love to give you some resources or tell you if I've experienced that, and share any tips that I have to help you move your business forward. That's the goal. All right. Thanks so much, everyone. We'll see you on the next one.